David has a question next. He says, in hyperaccumulation with the intent of retiring early, what are the advantages and disadvantages of using your Roth basis as your bridge instead of a brokerage account as a bridge account?
Yeah, we get this question all the time. So one of the little known secrets to Roth IRAs is you can always get access to your basis, the contributions that you put in, anytime, tax-free and penalty-free. That's right. So even if you put money in your Roth and you're in your 30s and you want to get to it, you can pull out your contribution. But by the way, this is why it's so important. A lot of people don't pay attention to this. And when you do your tax return, you only pay attention to page 1 and 2 and maybe a few of the schedules. Those later pages where you're tracking basis, or if you're doing non-deductibles, you're tracking 86, those pages matter. The basis that you're building inside of your Roth IRAs matter. Make sure that you're keeping up with those on your tax return. So often we see people just forget about those. Because if you ever do get in a situation where you want to access that basis, you want to pull those out, that's how you're going to track, am I getting into the quick, or am I still in the stuff that's not too close? Sorry, all that part was for free. The question is advantages or disadvantages to doing that versus building up an after-tax account. Well, here's the problem. What you don't want to do is you don't want to Barry Sanders your Roth dollars. You don't want to take them out when they are at the height of their career. You don't want them to not be working hard for you for as long as humanly possible. You want those dollars to stay in that Roth and keep growing tax-free, 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 tax-free. When you go to pull them out, they're no longer growing tax-free. And remember, Roth is a very unique bucket. We can only put, right now, $6,500 a year into it. And we can only do that if our income is below a certain threshold, or if we're above that threshold, we have to do backdoors. And we have to have earned income and able to do that unless we start doing some conversions and that sort of thing later in life. So it's kind of hard to get those dollars in there. So you spend a lot of time, effort, and attention building that bucket. You want to be kind of selective in terms of how you pull that bucket out, because it's also an amazing legacy planning tool for those. Brian, do you feel like when you're seeing someone accumulate, and they say, hey, I want to retire early, I want to do this, do you often advocate that they pull out of the basis of the Roth, or are there a lot of advantages, a lot of reasons why the after-tax hyperaccumulation dollars might make the most sense to be the ones you utilize?
I think David's question, look, it's a reasonable question, but David might as well call him like, Brian, have you ever seen a leprechaun or a unicorn? And what I mean by that is that, yes, I've heard, it's a planning opportunity that you could use your Roth basis as a bridge. And just like I've heard of leprechauns and I've heard of unicorns, but I've never actually seen one in reality. I've never had a client that we've used Roth basis to be the bridge to get them through. When we get to hyperaccumulation, typically that in step 7 of the financial order of operations, we're using that after-tax account, and Bo does a great job. I thought we were going to see the funnel.
I was leaving some meat for you.
Because Bo talks about, look, when we talk about the financial order of operations, you'll notice that there is a thing that happens. You typically will go with the tax-favored assets first, like your retirement account, which is going to be tax-deferred, the free money from your employer. Then you go get the emergency funds, which are, the after-tax accounts. And then, you'll have Roth IRAs, which are tax incentivized as well because they're tax-free growth. And then you'll once again max out the retirement. But you'll see when you get, because of that employer match and other things, that might change under the Secure 2.0. Sure. But it's not uncommon to see that most people, as they get into higher income situations, they're favoring the tax deferred, taking the tax deduction earliest, that those tax favored, you do it in the exact opposite order in the distribution that you put them in the contribution. There's FIFO and LIFO. So first in, first out. That's kind of the way you do a FIFO retirement strategy.
Well, this would be a little bit more LIFO, right? Because the last in the taxable will be the first one you pull out when you turn the bucket upside down.
Yeah, you'll probably, the bridge account will be. So I guess that is a LIFO. Look at you taking my accounting example and then actually clubbing me over the head. I love it. That's great. That's the way it should work. So it is a LIFO example. And you'll go after tax first, then you go burn off and probably try to do Roth conversions and other things on those tax deferred assets because you want to get rid of them before you turn it's hard to, it went from 70.5, now 72, now it's going to be 75. Yep. I mean, this thing keeps changing. They'll have it by 83 by the time we all retire, but you're trying to get as much of that tax deferred money into Roth, because Bo said it. Roth assets grow tax-free, plus they offer tremendous legacy building because remember, your kids or your beneficiaries are going to get at least 10 years to let that money continue to grow. If you have a child with special needs like I have, you're going to actually get to base it on their life expectancy. That stuff is so valuable that you hear about people getting access to that Roth account, but you don't actually see it because it's just so valuable that wealthy people, financial mutants, you just don't do it.